My name is Jennifer Timm, and I went to SCPA starting in the 4th grade, and I graduated in 1990, and I majored in drama.
Great. So, what was your neighborhood like in your neighborhood school and that whole experience different from the world that you entered when you started going to SCPA?
So I lived in Hyde Park, which is a community in Cincinnati, which is, I would say, very homogenous. My sister and I talk about how we really felt like we had to be preppy to fit in there, and we had Pappagallo purses, and there was definitely a certain way that we expected ourselves to be because of that environment. And although my school, my elementary school, was to some degree desegregated, I felt like it was the neighborhood kids, and then it was these other kids that were bussed in that happened to be black. And I don't feel like I was antagonistic towards people who were, of a different race, but I didn't feel like I really knew them or had any reason to develop friendships with them. So my neighborhood was pretty white, and when I went to SCPA, it was, I was only in the 4th grade, but it was just a myriad of color and people and backgrounds. And actually, I think I was just like any little kid. I just wanted to have friends, and I was interested in stickers and things that just little kids are interested in. And I don't really think I was very conscious of the race, of the racial differences at that time. But it was different.
Interesting. So you're saying that there was actually in your old school kids bussed in from, it was one of the schools that was, what is that? What does that mean exactly?
So their neighborhood school, which had been an all-black school, was closed, and I think it was in Evanston. And so those, for some reason, I guess so those kids had a school, the closest one maybe was Hyde Park. And I don't know enough about that particular situation why, but I do know in that era that across the country there were schools that were being desegregated by forced busing. And there might have been some initiatives in Cincinnati to begin the desegregation policy in neighborhood schools by doing some busing.
Why do you think the magnet approach was better than the busing approach in order to integrate?
Well, the special thing about the alternative program in Cincinnati was that children and families from different neighborhoods had the choice to go to a school that happened to be integrated. So they had some buy-in, they knew that they were choosing to go there. And I feel like anytime someone is getting to say, I want to be here, I want to do this, they have a different kind of investment in it. So I think, personally, that was one of the special qualities of the school. And I was glad that I had an opportunity to just even get to know different parts of the city instead of just my own little neighborhood through my friends.
What were the different majors like? Were there groups of people that were in one major? How was that?
Well, I kind of felt like we segregated ourselves to some degree by the art form we were interested in. I remember a lot of the dancers being friends, and I was in drama, and we did a lot of things together. So the drama people would make shows together, and there was some natural thing in that. But I also remember that there was respect from me and from other kids I knew for kids who were in other arts disciplines. So even though you didn't know them or hang out in their group, you were oh, she's really good in ballet. Or have you seen his artwork? He's amazing. For example, there was this kid, William Willingham, he's in our class, and he was the most amazing artist. And I remember always knowing that. And so even though he never was really chose to be friends with me, or we were never really close friends, we didn't do a lot, I saw him in homeroom every day, and practically my whole life there, because our names are the same part of the alphabet, and he, I always knew he was special. So even though they were sort of kept in different groups. Like there was still this kind of awareness and like a little wow from the distance between us.
What can you tell us like one day or one experience where you felt particularly in awe of someone's performance of their artwork?
Well, one thing that comes to mind is not really like a unique performance, because there were a lot of great performers and great artists and, you know, great writers, and I mean there were like so many people I was like really enthralled by. But I feel like on the subject of wow, that something that surprised me, like a person who surprised me, was somebody who kind of intimidated me. And she was somebody who I was in choir with, and she was like, I don't know if she meant to be a bully, but she was somebody who was just so like fierce and strong and like kind of a brash that I felt like I didn't want to get in her way. And I think it's, to be fair, that a lot of people kind of avoided her. And she was in this choir I was in, and she was like such a great singer. So like she would start to sing, and she'd have solos in choir, and I was just like an average little singer, in the back of the choir. And she would like bust out with like these amazing songs. I mean, she would like have it in her body. It was like her soul was singing, and like she was like, she's just like on fire in the best way. And I feel like maybe she had some of that from her church. Like there was some place she had permission to be like more alive in song than I had ever been. But I feel like I also was humbled a little bit in that there's people that for some reason like they bring something with them that I might not have expected when I was intimidated, and then here they are showing me some like wonderful part of themselves, a part where I can be in awe about life, and I think that was a gift.
So, what was it like when you left SCPA? And I know you actually continued with the arts, and how was it leaving the environment of SCPA? And what was the contrast like of the real world?
So I moved from SCPA in Cincinnati to New York City, and I went to Juilliard and I studied drama. And at school, my class was at the time predominantly white. It was a very small classical theater program. Since that time, it has become much more integrated. But at the time, I just could not believe that there like how many white people was around, and I was thinking like, aren't there, like I know there is many talented black people in this country, like how come they're not here? And I felt like in the city of New York, where there was all these different kinds of people, that people were divided. Like they were maybe sitting next to each other in the subway, but they weren't going to the same place. Like it looked diverse on the outside, but it didn't feel it from like on a heart level. And I felt like our experiences at SCPA were like real, genuine, like interactions and caring about people who happened to be from different backgrounds. And we got to make art together and like do things and become people that we like through our characters that we would never be allowed to from what I saw then later in what was a more homogenous American theater scene.
Jenny, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Okay.